1370 WOCA.
Ocala.
All right, 25 minutes before 10 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. Beautiful Thursday morning. Hope you're doing well. We are going to be introduced to a lady who has a lot of accomplishments under her belt. Her name is Othello Bach. Her debut book is a novel called House of Secrets. It became a bestseller. Avon Books purchased it, or I guess purchased the right to it, when she was just 24 years old. Her second novel is titled Satan's Daughters. That was published 2 years later and also became a bestseller. Her first children's book, Whoever Heard of a Ferd, was another bestseller and was her second children's book, I think, and it goes on and on and on from there. Today she's on the phone to talk to us about a true story titled Cry Into the Wind. In addition to being a talented author, Othello Bach is also a songwriter. With the last name of Bach, Robin, you probably should be a good songwriter, I
Exactly.
think. Othello is a songwriter. Her songs have been recorded by Joel Gray, Sandy Duncan, Tammy Grimes, and Othello is also the pastor of a church, the Christian church, and a columnist for the Kokomo Tribune. Wow, she's a busy lady. And she's a motivational speaker. So we're going to be motivated and inspired, and let's say good morning to Othello Bach. Good morning, Othello.
Well, good morning, Larry.
Thank you.
Good morning, Robin.
You're a busy lady.
Yes, I like staying busy. It seems to me to be a lot of work to do yet.
And where are you right now? Where are you calling from?
Indiana.
Indiana. Okay. Well, thank you for being on the air with us this morning. So it says Cry Into the Wind is a true story. Is it your story?
Yes, it's a memoir about, just a memoir, yeah.
So after all of your writing success, what made you decide to write your memoir?
Well, actually, my memoir was the first thing I wrote at 22. And I wrote that because I thought my childhood had been so rough that I wanted people to know what group homes were like, and get some attention for them. And I still do want that today. And I ended up there because we were so poor, 7 kids. My father was an alcoholic, and we were very nomadic, driving around in a truck, and we lived in the back of this flatbed truck with sideboards, and finally got a shack. Shack burned down.
Oh, my gosh.
And Mother was on fire. My brother pitched the kids out the window, but we all watched her burn to death. And
my gosh. Your mother burned to death?
Yes, and I was 7, holding my baby sister, with all of us, my older brothers trying to help, my father trying to help, and it couldn't be done. She died. But it was after that, after the funeral, after we buried her, my father took me to his bed, and so incest was experienced on the night that we buried my mother.
Oh.
The guilt and the horror of not even knowing what all was going on was just crippling, and then we were put in an orphanage, and I wanted people to know what the orphanage was like more than anything else when I wrote the original Cry Into the Wind at 22.
So did you go ahead, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Well, I was wondering if were you in the orphanage the rest of your childhood, or were you adopted to a new family?
No, we grew up there, left at 18. And it was every bit as bad as everything I'd experienced before. So, anyway, once in the orphanage, I could not read, even though I was at the age I should have been able to read, and I could not read until the 8th grade when I finally figured it out on my own. But I was a very creative cheater. If the teachers knew I couldn't read, they didn't talk to me about it. I would have other kids in the dormitory read assignments to me in exchange for work I would do for them, so that I could hear the assignment, I could answer questions, that sort of thing.
Oh, wow.
When it came time to write answers, then I would just have to cheat, because I did not understand how anybody knew that those letters made a word. If it was just a combination of marking.
And now you're an author.
So
and now you're a successful author. It's pretty amazing just knowing that little bit of your life so far.
Well, I'll tell you how I discovered it and what made my life so meaningful after that. I was cheating on a spelling test. It was the last spelling test of the year of my 8th grade. And so I decided I'm tired of all this creative cheating, writing stuff on the cuffs of my sleeves, between my fingers, and this sort of thing. So I just had one sheet over another. And the teacher called 3 words in a row that began with CH. And I didn't know those words began with CH. In other words, I heard the sound, though. After the first one, I heard a sound, a repetitive sound. And I got so excited, so I looked and I had just guessed the first 2 from under my cheat sheet. And I thought, if I've got those right, this has to be the word she said.
Oh, wow.
I became so excited, because I thought, that's the secret. They have sound assignments. Oh, and I was delirious in my mind. I didn't care if I passed this test. I didn't think anything in the world was more important, because to that point, of course, I felt totally stupid and a liar and a cheat, and I was, because I didn't want anybody to know I couldn't read.
Yeah.
And I knew I had 13 letters in my name, and if I sounded out my name, I had half the alphabet. And so I did that.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, and I checked out a book called The Mystery of a Little Green Turtle. First time I ever checked out a book from a library, the school library. And anyway, I got under my covers with a flashlight at night after we quit work, and this is the pivotal moment. It was not only The Mystery of the Little Green Turtle, which I loved the little book. I was so amazed that somebody would tell me such a delightful story. And then I went back and checked out a book. I said, I want a high school book. I didn't know. I wasn't ready for it, but I checked out Daphne du Maurier's Rebecca. And that night, under the covers, sounding out those words, I started to get very scared. And that was huge to me. And so I put the book aside, and I thought, why am I scared? And I was scared because words were going through my mind that frightened me. And I thought, whoa, if this is true, that words affect how I feel, I can control my whole life. I can control the way I feel. And so I didn't necessarily remember that every time I needed to throughout high school, but I did remember it when I was 20, I was 18, because I went for my first job interview, which used to be a secretary or a receptionist, something that used the typing and shorthand, which I was okay with. But it was a false thing. The guy really was just setting up a rape situation, and he did. And so my first job interview was the rape. It wasn't even the physical rape that got me so depressed, because I had experienced incest, and I knew that's not going to kill me. But I thought it might be possible to actually starve to death if even a job interviewer could lie to you. And so to me, at that point, the whole world was liars, You couldn't trust anyone.
Yeah.
So I tried to commit suicide.
Oh my gosh.
And I only managed to put myself in a coma for 2 days. And when I came out of that, I remembered what I learned when I learned to read. And that is, if I can control my own thinking, I can control my life. And so that was my new takeoff.
The message that you learned, the fact that you're sharing that message is going to help so many people. I think what you have just said is so important for so many people who haven't come to that amazing observation by themselves. When they hear you making that observation, they will be able to relate that to their own lives, and perhaps you will be actually saving lives. I know that's kind of hard to believe, but you pointed out that words made you feel something. Words may be saving lives just as you speak them, even on the radio. Let me ask you to hold on a second. We've got to take a break, Othello, and loving this conversation. Again, Othello Bach is our guest. Her book is, oh my gosh, it just sounds like one you're not going to put down. It's called Cry Into the Wind. No wonder she is a best-selling author.
Yes.
We can already tell. We'll take a little break and be right back.
Hi, I'm Leah Caruso with Strive Rehabilitation, inviting you to join me Thursday at 11 a.m. for Health Matters. Ocala Health and Strive have teamed up to bring you the latest information on good health services available to you right here at home. This vital information will help you make informed decisions about your health. So don't forget to join me here at 11 a.m. Thursday. It's news you can use from Ocala Health, Strive, and your friends here at WOCA.
Hey, this is Matt Wilkerson from Verizon. You work all day, right? So why would you want to spend your night out shopping for that new phone? Well, Marion County, let me and Verizon help you out. I can deliver to your home or office, saving you precious time. Phone, tablets, internet, home phones, even accessories. Whatever you need, we will deliver free of charge. Call me at the store, 352-528-0020. That's 528-0020.
Did you know nearly 70% of the people in Ocala want cremation, yet it is amazing how many misconceptions there are. It is probably because we just do not want to talk about it. Often, people think cremation limits their options for burial. Some think that cremated remains cannot be buried. In reality, it is just the opposite. At Highland Memorial Park, they want to give you all the answers to any questions you have now so that you are prepared. Highland has become expert at creating beautiful and unique cremation gardens. They offer everything from simple in-ground urn burial to our air-conditioned Celebration of Life room with its beautiful glass front niches. With the money you save with cremation, you can find a unique spot at Highland that you would never find anywhere else. Call today and see if cremation is right for you. Call 352-369-1020. 352-369-1020. When you set an appointment and both husband and wife tour Highland, they will give you a gift certificate to the Brooklyn Backyard Restaurant. Call Highland 352-369-1020.
All right, 12 minutes before 9 o'clock. Before 10 o'clock. I'm sorry, 12 before 10, and we have on the phone Othello Bach. She is in Indiana, and she has written some hit books. And she's, in fact, it says here she's published over 30 books. Her memoir is what we're focusing on, and it's called "Cry Into the Wind." And it sounds like it was actually written before her novels, and it really tells the story that. Of a lady who had a life that was just filled with all kinds of challenges, including rape. Holy mackerel!
It's awful.
Othello, thank you for being on the air with us today and for waiting through the break.
Well, I appreciate you letting me share the story.
So I think it's a very brave thing that you're doing, telling this, and I think you are saving lives, as we mentioned before the break. But I wondered if, in doing this. I guess there's two parts to this. In writing this when you were 22, and then in revisiting it in order to publish it now that you're a successful author, did it bring back the flashbacks of the things you wish you could forget?
No, actually there was only one scene in it, an orphanage scene, that as I was taking it from an old typewriter format and putting it in a computer, that made me actually stop and cry. And it was just a very sad scene with my little sister, because once we were in the orphanage, we were separated. We never got to be together again. So not only have we lost our mother and our father had given us away, in my opinion, but we were separated and never allowed to be together again. Now, that was probably the hardest part of all, other than watching my mother burn. And so when I cleaned it up, and of course years later I'm a lot better writer anyway than I was when I first wrote it. But when I first wrote it, it was because I was afraid I would forget those things.
Oh, okay.
They were fresh. And so it was more of a quick draft so I would not forget things. And once I went to retyping it, and I was amazed at how much I'd already forgotten, until I read it, and I thought, oh, whoa, I remember that. But anyway, it slips away when you don't think about it. And to succeed, you have to let go of a painful past.
Mm-hmm.
You simply have to let go. Otherwise, you remain a victim. You think nobody loves you. You think you'll never get what you want.
Right.
And you really have done some wonderful things with the children's books, and you also inspired a toy line for children.
Yes, it was wonderful. They made pajamas, they made towels, they made underwear, they made shoes, they made Pennies and Sears and Kmart and even O.J. Schwartz, I think that's the name of the company in New York. All of these stores were just filled up with, over 100 licensed products. Wallpaper even with my characters on it.
And what are the names of your characters?
Oh, well, the name of that book that went so big was Whoever Heard of a Ferd. It took 10 years to sell it. That wasn't an easy sell. It wasn't, when it was out 8 years and of rejections, I wrote the music and thought, what can I lose? Wrote the music for it just for my own enjoyment, and then sent it out again, and it sold. And what was your question?
You answered the question because I had asked about the toy line, and you said that your characters were all over the place. So that was an excellent.
Yes, they were.
That's so fun.
They were the original two. They were the original two feature creatures. Bird is part fish, part bird, and all the characters in the book. There were Birtles, part bear, part turtles, and Shambles, part sheep, part camels. And in fact, when they finally cloned a sheep with a goat or something, or not cloned, but mixed that up, the publisher called me to say, "Hey, guess what? We've got a geek."
Well, that is really wonderful because you've had such a horrendous childhood, and you grew up and you're helping others, especially writing books and songs and stories for children.
Well, one of the things I would like to say before we hang up here is that Crying to the Wind, the very last chapter, has a 30-day program included that shows people how, if they will monitor their thoughts way, they can convince themselves in 30 days they can change their life by doing that. And they will feel so different. And the program was developed while I was working with a group of Vietnam vets.
Oh, wow.
They were so astounded at the results that the Anaheim vet, I was in Anaheim, California at the time, that vet center, those guys went out and set up workshops for me and seminars in various hotels because they said, you have to spread this around. You have to tell people. So it's the last part of my book, the last chapter. It's called the Happiness Program.
Oh, gosh.
Tell me about the music that you wrote. Was that something you did before you started writing books, or was it after? And do you play a musical instrument?
Yes, I play piano. It's one of those things that, well, I draw, I play piano, and I write stories. So I live in my head, and those things are easy for me. I do not know how to read music. I've never not taken art classes. It's like, to me, I don't have time to do those things. I've got to sit down and do it, just do it.
Right.
And so I sit down and do it, and I'm thrilled when somebody else likes it, you know.
Were you able to have were you able to find romance and have a family?
Well, let's say I almost made a career out of getting married, okay?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, I can't say that I knew what love was or how to find love or anything when I first got out of that orphanage. Certainly did not know I was the generator of my own love. I did not know that. I did not know that I had to give love in order to be loved, to feel love. And I didn't know what to trust was love, only because of my own background. I was very suspicious and distrustful of everybody and everything. But, again, I've lost track of the original question.
Well, Robin was asking you about romance. Are you married now?
Oh, my husband died about 4 years ago.
Oh, okay.
And he was wonderful, but somebody is trying to ask me if I wanted to meet somebody the other day. Do you want to meet somebody new? And I said, I would feel so sorry for that person.
Oh, no.
I'm going to write stories, and I'm going to compose music, and I don't care who's in my life. That's what I'm going to do, so...
That's it.
Hey, not meeting me.
You got to do what you were gifted with. Can I ask you about your name, Othello, and maybe even about your last name? I mean, we get our last names from our parents, but Othello, well, probably from your parents also. Is there a story behind your name?
My mother was an avid reader, and she loved Shakespeare, so I think that's that. On the other hand, my name Bach, no, I picked it, and here's how I picked it. Years ago, after I was flying back from New York, just after signing a contract on Whoever Heard of a Third, I was flying back to California, and I'm sitting next to a guy who says he's a numerologist. And I said, oh, pick me a name that'll make me a success. And so my name at the time, my maiden name, he said, that'll do it. You've already got the name. And I said, well, I don't want my father's name. And so, anyway, we were about to land when this conversation happened, and he lived also near where I was, so we agreed to meet at a coffee shop that following weekend. He said, you write down 3 names you would like to be identified with, and I will write down 3 names that will make you a bestseller. So, anyway, we got to the coffee shop, and the only name on both lists was Bach.
Wow.
Oh, really?
That gives me chills.
Yeah,
That's cool.
Just so you know, one of the reasons I was curious about your name is because you said your name had 13 letters, but Othello Bach does not have 13 letters. I thought I was missing something.
No, but Othello Fern James does.
Ah.
And that was my name at the time.
Okay,
I just dropped the Fern.
Now I get it. Othello, thank you for being on the air with us. What a wonderful story. It's sad, but it's wonderful that you're sharing it, because unfortunately a lot of people, maybe a lot of girls, are going to relate to this. I mean, we live in a world that's full of people that do bad things to other people, and especially what young girls go through. Mm-hmm. So thank you for thank you for sharing your story with us. I went to your website. I love your artwork, by the way. The website is OthelloBach.com. And is the book available on Amazon, etc.?
Yes, it is. And by the way, when you go back to my website, listen to those 9 songs that are listed in the middle of the page, okay?
I will be doing that. I want to do that. I couldn't do that on the air, though, obviously, because we were doing the interview.
I know.
Othello, thank you for being on the air with us, and good luck, and come back anytime.
Thank you so much for having me.
You are welcome.
And the children are very lucky to have you. Thank you for everything.
Well, thank you, Robin.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Nice thing. All right, we'll be right back.